Hello everyone. In this video, we'll talk about a very important question, that is why we should not translate from our native language to English and how can you actually solve this problem, or you can say how can I think in English. So if you want answers to these two questions, stick it to the end because this is something that you need to work right now. You should not translate from your native language, and number two, you should think in English. And how do we do that? We'll find out in this video. Hello everyone, this is Ash and you're watching Learn with Sam and Ash. Let's come to the first part of the video, which says why I should not translate in English from my native language. And there are three important reasons. Reason number one, it is time consuming. Now imagine a situation, you are in a conference room or you are among people, you are having a conversation with them. The person said something and you have to reply to them. How much time you think you get to reply to somebody's conversation? It's less than 10 seconds. In 10 seconds, if you sit down and try to translate from your native language to English, you will be confused, and at the same time that time window will be very less for you. So it's always recommended not to translate from your native language to English because the process of translating is really time consuming, and you don't want other person to lose the focus, lose the attention from the conversation, because if the process goes on, it's going to be an extensive work, and that's not what we recommend to our students. Reason two will be clear by the picture that you can see on your screen. If you notice here, this is a language tree. The language I can consider Hindi is my native language, and English, which is the language we are trying to learn. These two languages on this tree is completely far apart. So if you see, Hindi is right there and English is right there. They originated somewhere from the common language, but they diverted in the process. Now, if you're trying to translate something from Hindi to English, you can't assume that the words or the sentences are going to be correct because their origin was never the same. So it's very important to understand that translation cannot work all the time, as the language has completely different branches in that tree. So that was your reason number two. The languages were different, so it's not recommended to translate them. Which brings me to the last point. Sometimes the translation process becomes so funny that you can't stop laughing. Let me give you an example. In English, we say, I'm hanging out with my friends, which means you are having fun, you are going to market, you are going to supermarkets and all those things, you're having fun. So instead of saying these sentences, you say, I'm hanging out with my friends. Now, let's try to translate it in Hindi. It says, मैं अपने दोस्तों के साथ लटक रहा हूँ. Hanging in Hindi means latakna. So hanging and latakna is completely different words and you can't translate it. So as I was saying, that the process of translating makes the language really funny, and hence it's not recommended to translate something from your native language. This was just one example which I try to show, and the list goes forever. I say, let's go on. And in Hindi it says, chalo chal pade. So, chalo chal pade and let's go on is not making complete sense, and hence this process of translating can be sometimes really funny, may not be accurately correct, and may not make sense at times. So, these three reasons are something you should keep in mind next time you are in a situation where you want to translate, but at the same time you are afraid of doing it. Now, that brings me to the second part of the video, which says, how can I actually stop translating and start thinking in English? I know it's the complicated process, it's a hardworking kind of thing, but it's worth it. You want to stop the process of translating and you want to get into the process of thinking in English. Let me share a special story with you. When I started this whole journey of learning a language, the first thing that I had in my mind was to directly speak in English. I was not adapting the process of translating. Instead, I jumped to the process of speaking directly. So that made me think that if I can do it, why not my students? So I have broke this whole method of thinking in English into three parts. Now let's focus on what are these three parts. Solution number one. Start with the small words. Start with the basic words. Now, this method is more suitable for students who are at basic level. You are trying to learn this language from basic, and hence it's always recommended to start from words, then jump to sentences, and then make conversations. So when I say start speaking the words out loud, that means you have to start giving the names to the things. For example, this is a mic. There's a camera. So I'm just focusing on the words here. Mic, camera, hands, a bangle, a watch. These are the words in English of the things that you see around. That was your step number 1. Step number 2 is make sentences. They can be very small, like it is a mic, it is a camera, it's a watch, the bangle is in my hand. So all I was doing is making those small sentences. That was my step number 2. This brings me to my step number 3, which says that you will start making small conversation. I always recommend my students to start having a conversation with yourself first rather than jumping out in the market and having a conversation with friends. So when I say having a conversation with yourself, it means, let's imagine you're standing in front of the mirror and you have to tell yourself how are you feeling. You can say, I look good, I feel positive, and I'm looking really beautiful. I have these long hair. So all I was doing is having these tiny frames of sentences, having this tiny conversation with myself. Now when I feel much confident, when I feel I'm ready to go out in the market and try this language, I'll just go out and talk to people. So guys, this whole situation that I explained you, starting from the words, making the sentences, and then having a conversation, was actually the solution number 1 to think in English. And it is recommended for basic or intermediate level of students. Now, let's talk about the solution number 2. The solution number 2 is to know where are you going wrong. Now, when you adapted this language from your young age till now, you have accumulated a lot of wrong sentences, a lot of wrong grammatical usages, and you don't even realize that you are making the mistakes there. So if I have to break the second point, I can simply say, know what's going wrong and try to find the correct point on that. For example, most of my students face this problem of do and does. I'll give you an example. He does his work. That's the correct sentence. But what happens when you're trying to speak fluently or when you're trying to speak continuously in English, you will say he do his work. He do his work is wrong. He does his work is correct. This was just an example of the mistakes you were making and what could be the correct thing. Now, this process is going to be hard. This process is going to be time consuming because you have to challenge yourself in everything you are saying in English. You make a sentence, you should have a doubt in your mind. Am I correct or not? If you have a little sense of doubt there, try to check it online on all the multiple platforms that we have already provided you in previous videos like Grammarly or Tatueba or Conversation Exchange. Go and check. Now, you say, ma'am, it can get really, hectic. It can get really frustrating. How can I exactly make sure that everything I'm saying is correct or not? Please, guys, have some patience for this solution. You need to trust your gut. You need to understand that, I'm learning a new language. I can be at a stage where I'm making a lot of mistakes and I have to work on it. So, next time you say something in English, put a question mark. Try to understand, am I correct or am I not? If you have a sense of doubt, go find the solution online. It's possible and it's worth it. You want to give it a try to this solution as well. This brings me to the last part of the solution of how can I think in English, and that is thinking of the situation. This method is for students who are intermediate and at advanced level, and they're already possible to communicate in English. They're already making sentences. They're already having a conversation. But somewhere deep inside, they have a fear of being correct in grammar. They have a fear of mixing the tenses. We get this question most of the time. I'm confused in tenses. I start saying something in past tense and all of a sudden I jump mixing present and future in that. So the easy solution for this problem is start thinking of the situation. Let me give you an example. If I ask you, what did you do yesterday? Now, if you break the situation, you will understand that the question that I put forward to you is something about what happened yesterday. Yesterday is an activity of the past. So you automatically, your brain should push you and say that, you know what, your sentence should be in the past tense. You can say, I woke up at 7 o'clock. I brushed my teeth and had my breakfast after freshening up. And then I went to the supermarket to buy stuff. Later in the evening, I watched a movie and then I slept. So if you notice to this whole answer that I gave you, I said everything in past form. That was verb ed form. I woke up is the past form of wake. Then I brushed is the past form of brush. I had my breakfast. I went to supermarket. Went is the past form of go. And then I came back and watched a movie, which is the past form of watch. And then I slept. Slept is a past form of sleep. In the complete answer, all I focused on was I have to break the verb in the ed form and make it in the past form. Your brain has given you a signal that, you know what, everything has to be in past tense. I need not to get confused. So next time when you are having a conversation with a person and that person asked you something or said something, try to break it in the situation. Is she saying something in present tense? Is she saying something in future tense? Or is he or she is referring something in the past tense? Thinking of the situation will give you a signal that your answer will automatically jump to that part of the tense. So guys, we covered up 3 important struggles which can happen when you translate from your native language to English, and 3 important solutions that can actually help you to think in English. Now you have to understand which solution or which problem works best for you. You will adapt that solution in your life, and from now onwards, you have to start speaking in Hindi. Oh, that was a mistake. You have to start speaking and thinking in English. So guys, if you are new to this channel, you know we are Learn with Sam and Ash, a community which has built up with a huge agenda of helping everyone to learn English from basic. And if you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you are already a part of this channel, you know what to do. Give a thumbs up to this video and go check our 990 course available on learnwithsamandash.com. See you again. Bye-bye.